Welcome to a journey into the profound depths of the human mind. Today we delve into James Allen's timeless classic, As a Man Thinketh, a book that, despite its brevity, offers a powerful and transformative message. Prepare to discover how your thoughts, consciously or unconsciously, sculpt your character, shape your circumstances, and ultimately determine your destiny. Let's unlock the secrets to becoming the master of your own life. As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen, is not an exhaustive treatise on the power of thought, but rather a suggestive volume intended to stimulate individuals to realize a fundamental truth. This core truth is that they themselves are makers of themselves. This self-creation occurs by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage. Allen posits that mind is the master weaver of both one's inner garment of character and their outer garment of circumstance. The book aims to guide readers from unknowingly weaving in ignorance and pain to consciously weaving in enlightenment and happiness. Thought and character. The foundational aphorism, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he," encompasses a man's entire being and extends to every condition and circumstance of his life. Allen asserts that a man is literally what he thinks, and his character is the complete sum of all his thoughts. Just as a plant originates from a seed, every action, including spontaneous or unpremeditated ones, springs from hidden seeds of thought. Action is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits, meaning a man reaps the consequences of his own husbandry. A noble character is not a matter of favor or chance, but the natural outcome of sustained right thinking and prolonged association with godlike thoughts. Conversely, an ignoble and bestial character results from continuously harboring groveling thoughts. Man, in the armory of thought, either forges weapons by which he destroys himself, or fashions tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. Through the right application of thought, man can ascend to the divine perfection, while misuse of thought can cause him to descend below the level of the beast. Within these extremes lie all grades of character, and man is their creator and master. One of the most profound truths highlighted is that man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the lord of his own thoughts, man possesses the key to every situation and holds the transforming and regenerating agency to become what he wills. Even in his weakest state, man is always the master, although a foolish master if he misgoverns his thoughts. He becomes a wise master when he reflects on his condition, searches for the law upon which his being is established, and intelligently directs his energies to fashion fruitful issues from his thoughts. This conscious mastery is achieved by discovering the laws of thought within oneself, a process requiring application, self-analysis, and experience. Through diligent searching and mining into the mine of his soul, a man can prove that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny, by observing, controlling, and altering his thoughts, and tracing their effects on himself, others, and his circumstances. Every experience, even the most trivial, can be a means to this self-knowledge, leading to understanding, wisdom, and power. The law holds true, "He that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened," emphasizing that patience, practice, and ceaseless effort are necessary to enter the door of the temple of knowledge.
Effect of thought on circumstances. The mind is likened to a garden that will inevitably bring forth, whether cultivated or neglected. If no useful seeds are sown, useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. Just as a gardener tends his plot, A man can tend the garden of his mind, removing wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, and cultivating right, useful, and pure thoughts. This process leads to the discovery of being the master gardener of his soul and the director of his life, revealing the laws of thought and understanding how thought forces and mind elements operate in the shaping of his character, circumstances, and destiny. Thought and character are inextricably linked, and external life conditions are always harmoniously related to his inner state. This doesn't mean circumstances reflect one's entire character, but that they are vital for development and intimately connected to some thought element within. A man is where he is by the law of his being. His character-built thoughts have led him there, and there is no element of chance in his life's arrangement. This applies equally to those feeling out of harmony as to those contented. As an evolving being, man is in his current circumstances to learn and grow. And as he learns the spiritual lesson, those circumstances pass, replaced by new ones. Man is affected by circumstances as long as he believes himself a creature of outside conditions. However, when he realizes his creative power and can command the hidden soil and seeds of his being, he becomes the rightful master of himself. Those who practice self-control and self-purification know that changes in their circumstances precisely align with their altered mental condition. Earnest effort to remedy character defects leads to rapid passage through a succession of vicissitudes. The soul attracts what it secretly harbors, both desires and fears, reaching for its aspirations and falling to its unchastened desires. Circumstances are the means by which the soul receives its due. Every thought seed, good or bad, blossoms into action and bears fruit in opportunity and circumstances. The outer world conforms to the inner world of thought, and both pleasant and unpleasant conditions contribute to the individual's ultimate good, allowing man to learn through both suffering and bliss. A man's inmost desires, aspirations, thoughts, whether impure imaginings or high endeavor, eventually find fruition in his external life. The laws of growth and adjustment everywhere obtain. Poverty or imprisonment are not due to fate, but to groveling thoughts and base desires. A pure-minded man does not suddenly commit crime. Criminal thought was long fostered secretly, and opportunity reveals its power. Circumstance doesn't make the man, it reveals him to himself. Vicious inclinations precede vice and suffering, and virtuous aspirations precede virtue and happiness. Thus, man, as the lord and master of thought, is the maker of himself, the shaper and author of environment. From birth, the soul attracts conditions that reflect its own purity and impurity, its strength and weakness. Men do not attract what they merely want, but that which they are. Their whims are often thwarted, but their inmost thoughts and desires are fed with their own food. The divinity that shapes our ends is within us, our very self. Man is manacled only by himself. Base thought and action are jailers of fate, while noble ones are angels of freedom. A man receives what he justly earns, and his wishes are only gratified when they align with his thoughts and actions. Fighting against circumstances means revolting against an effect while nurturing its cause, conscious vice or unconscious weakness, within. People want to improve circumstances, but not themselves, so they remain bound. Self-crucifixion ensures accomplishment. Examples illustrate this. A poor man shirking work and deceiving his employer does not understand the principles of prosperity and attracts deeper wretchedness.
A rich glutton suffering disease is unwilling to sacrifice desires and is unfit for health. A dishonest employer blames circumstances for bankruptcy, unaware that he is the sole author of his condition. These cases show man is the unconscious cause of his circumstances, often frustrating good ends by encouraging contradictory thoughts.
The complexity of circumstances and deeply rooted thoughts means one's entire soul condition cannot be judged solely by external life. Superficial judgments about honest people suffering or dishonest people prospering are erroneous. Both honest and dishonest individuals reap the results of their specific thoughts and actions. It's human vanity to believe suffering comes from virtue, but only when all sickly, bitter, and impure thought is removed can one truly declare suffering is from good qualities, having experienced the great law that is absolutely just. With such knowledge, one realizes their life was always justly ordered, and all experiences were the equitable outworking of his evolving, yet unevolved self. Good thoughts never produce bad results, and vice versa. This is as absolute in the mental world as in the natural. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought, indicating disharmony with one's being, and its supreme use is to purify. Suffering ceases for the pure. Mental inharmony leads to suffering circumstances, while mental harmony leads to blessedness. Blessedness, not material possessions, measures right thought. Wretchedness, not lack of material possessions, measures wrong thought. Indigence and indulgence are both extremes of wretchedness, unnatural and resulting from mental disorder. A person is only rightly conditioned when happy, healthy, and prosperous, which results from a harmonious adjustment between inner and outer, man and surroundings. A man truly begins to live when he stops complaining and seeks the hidden justice in his life. By adapting his mind to this law, he stops blaming others, builds noble thoughts, and uses circumstances as aids for progress and self-discovery. The universe is governed by law, justice, and righteousness. By setting himself right, a man finds the universe is right, and as his thoughts toward things and people change, so will things and people change toward him. This truth can be investigated through systematic introspection and self-analysis. A radical alteration of thoughts leads to a rapid transformation in material conditions. Thoughts cannot be kept secret. They rapidly crystallize into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. Examples: bestial thoughts lead to habits of drunkenness and sensuality, solidifying into destruction and disease. Impure thoughts lead to confusing habits and adverse circumstances. Fear, doubt, and indecision lead to weak habits and circumstances of failure. Lazy thoughts lead to uncleanliness and dishonesty, solidifying into foulness and beggary. Hateful thoughts lead to accusation and violence, solidifying into injury and persecution. Selfish thoughts lead to self-seeking habits and distressing circumstances. On the other hand, beautiful thoughts lead to habits of grace and kindliness, solidifying into genial circumstances. Pure thoughts lead to temperance and self-control, solidifying into repose and peace. Courageous thoughts lead to manly habits and circumstances of success, plenty, and freedom. Energetic thoughts lead to cleanliness and industry, solidifying into pleasantness. Gentle and forgiving thoughts lead to gentleness and protective circumstances. Loving and unselfish thoughts lead to self-forgetfulness for others, solidifying into sure and abiding prosperity and true riches. A persistent train of thought, good or bad, will inevitably produce results on character and circumstances. While a man cannot directly choose circumstances, he can choose his thoughts, thereby indirectly yet surely shape his circumstances. Nature assists in the gratification of the most encouraged thoughts, presenting opportunities that reveal both good and evil thoughts. If a man abandons sinful thoughts, the world softens and helps him. If he puts away weak thoughts, opportunities arise to aid his strong resolves. Encouraging good thoughts ensures no hard fate binds him to wretchedness. The world is a kaleidoscope, and its varying combinations are the exquisitely adjusted pictures of your ever-moving thoughts.
Effective thought on health and the body.
The body serves the mind, obeying its operations, whether conscious or automatic. Unlawful thoughts lead to disease and decay, while glad and beautiful thoughts clothe the body with youthfulness and beauty. Disease and health, like circumstances, are rooted in thought. Sickly thoughts manifest as a sickly body. Fear can kill as quickly as a bullet and continually kills thousands more slowly. Those who live in fear of disease tend to get it. Anxiety demoralizes the body and opens it to disease, and impure thoughts, even unindulged, can shatter the nervous system. Strong, pure, and happy thoughts build a body of vigor and grace. The body is a delicate and plastic instrument that readily responds to impressed thoughts, with habits of thought producing their effects. People will have impure and poisoned blood as long as they propagate unclean thoughts. A clean heart leads to a clean life and a clean body. A defiled mind yields a defiled life and corrupt body. Thought is the fount of action, life, and manifestation. Purifying the fountain purifies everything. Changing diet won't help without changing thoughts. Pure thoughts eliminate impure food desires. To perfect the body, one must guard the mind. To renew the body, beautify the mind. Malice, envy, disappointment, and despondency rob health and grace. A sour face comes from sour thoughts, and wrinkles are drawn by folly, passion, and pride. Examples illustrate that a sweet disposition leads to a bright face, while passion and discontent lead to inharmonious contours. A strong body and bright countenance require the free admittance into the mind of thoughts of joy and goodwill and serenity. Wrinkles on the aged can be from sympathy, pure thoughts, or passion. Righteous living leads to calm, peaceful, and mellowed age. Cheerful thought is the best physician for dissipating the ills of the body. Goodwill is the best comforter for dispersing the shadows of grief and sorrow. Living in ill will, cynicism, suspicion, and envy is a self-made prison hole. Thinking well of all, being cheerful, and finding good in all are the portals of heaven, and dwelling in peace toward every creature brings abounding peace to the possessor. Effect of time on thoughts and character. Thought and purpose. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Most people allow their bark of thought to drift aimlessly, which is a vice that must cease for those seeking to avoid catastrophe. Those without a central purpose fall prey to worries, fears, and self-pity, leading to failure and unhappiness, as weakness cannot persist in a power-evolving universe. A man should conceive a legitimate purpose and strive to accomplish it, making it the centralizing point of his thoughts. This purpose can be a spiritual ideal or a worldly object, but thought forces should be steadily focused on it. It should be his supreme duty, with thoughts not wandering into ephemeral fancies. This is the royal road to self-control and true concentration of thought. Even if one repeatedly fails, the gained strength of character measures true success and forms a new starting point for future power. Effect of time on thoughts and character. Thought and purpose. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Most people allow their bark of thought to drift aimlessly, which is a vice that must cease for those seeking to avoid catastrophe. Those without a central purpose fall prey to worries, fears, and self-pity,
leading to failure and unhappiness, as weakness cannot persist in a power-evolving universe. A man should conceive a legitimate purpose and strive to accomplish it, making it the centralizing point of his thoughts. This purpose can be a spiritual ideal or a worldly object, but thought forces should be steadily focused on it. It should be his supreme duty, with thoughts not wandering into ephemeral fancies. This is the royal road to self-control and true concentration of thought. Even if one repeatedly fails, the gained strength of character measures true success and forms a new starting point for future power.
The thought factor in achievement. All achievements and failures are a direct result of one's own thoughts. In a justly ordered universe, individual responsibility is absolute. A man's weakness, strength, purity, and impurity are his own, brought about and alterable only by himself. His condition, sufferings, and happiness are evolved from within, quote, as he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains, unquote. A strong man cannot help a weaker one unless the weaker is willing and develops strength through his own efforts. Only a man himself can alter his condition. Traditionally, people have blamed oppressors for slavery, but a growing trend despises slaves for allowing oppression. The truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance and afflict themselves. Perfect knowledge sees the law in both. Perfect love condemns neither, embracing both in compassion. One who conquers weakness and selfish thoughts belongs to neither category. He is free. A man rises and achieves by lifting his thoughts and remains weak and miserable by refusing to do so. To achieve anything, even worldly success, one must elevate thoughts above slavish animal indulgence. While not all animality and selfishness must be given up, a portion must be sacrificed. A man whose first thought is bestial indulgence cannot think clearly, plan methodically, or develop resources, and will fail. Lacking control over his thoughts, he cannot control affairs or assume serious responsibilities, nor act independently. His limitations are only by the thoughts he chooses. There is no progress without sacrifice. Worldly success is measured by sacrificing confused animal thoughts and focusing the mind on plans, resolution, and self-reliance. The higher his thoughts, the more manly, upright, and righteous he becomes, leading to greater, more blessed, and enduring achievements. The universe favors the honest, magnanimous, and virtuous, despite superficial appearances to the contrary. Intellectual achievements result from thought consecrated to the search for knowledge, beauty, and truth. These are the natural outgrowth of long, arduous effort and pure, unselfish thoughts, not vanity or ambition. Spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. One who consistently dwells on noble, lofty, pure, and unselfish thoughts will become wise and noble in character and rise into a position of influence and blessedness. Achievement, of whatever kind, is the crown of effort, the diadem of thought. Through self-control, resolution, purity, righteousness, and well-directed thought, a man ascends. Through animality, indolence, impurity, corruption, and confusion of thought, he descends. High success can be lost by allowing arrogant, selfish, and corrupt thoughts to take over. Victories gained by right thought require watchfulness. Many fail rapidly after assured success. All achievements are governed by the same law of directed thought. The difference lies only in the object. Sacrifice is proportional to achievement, little for little, much for much, greatly for highly. Visions and ideal. The dreamers are the saviors of the world. Just as the visible world is sustained by the invisible, humanity is nourished by the beautiful visions of their solitary dreamers amidst trials and sordid vocations. Humanity cherishes its dreamers and their ideals, living in them and recognizing them as future realities. Composers, sculptors, painters, poets, prophets, and sages are the makers of the afterworld, the architects of heaven. The world is beautiful because of them, and without them, laboring humanity would perish. Whoever cherishes a beautiful vision or lofty ideal will one day realize it. Columbus's vision led to discovery. Copernicus's vision revealed a wider universe. Buddha's vision brought him into a spiritual world of beauty and peace. Cherish your visions, ideals, stirring music, mind-formed beauty, and pure thoughts. For out of them will grow all delightful conditions, all heavenly environment. If true to them, your world will at last be built from these. To desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve. The law ensures that purest aspirations will not starve. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is a promise of your future self, and your ideal is a prophecy of what you will unveil. The greatest achievements were once dreams. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Uncongenial circumstances will not last if one perceives an ideal and strives for it. One cannot travel within and stand still without. An example is a youth enduring poverty and unhealthy labor, unschooled, yet dreaming of intelligence, refinement, and a better life. His vision of wider liberty and a larger scope compels him to use his spare time and limited means to develop his latent powers. His mind changes so much that his workshop becomes out of harmony and falls out of his life, and with growing opportunities, he moves on. Years later, this youth becomes a man wielding mind forces with worldwide influence and almost unequaled power, changing lives and becoming a fixed and luminous center for destinies. He has realized the vision of his youth and become one with his ideal. The reader, too, will realize the vision of their heart, for they will always gravitate toward that which they secretly most love. The exact results of one's thoughts will be placed in their hands. They will receive what they earn, no more, no less. Whatever the present environment, one will fall, remain, or rise with your thoughts, your vision, your ideal. One becomes as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration. Stanton Kirkham Davis's words beautifully illustrate this, describing transformations from an accountant to an orator, or a sheep driver to a master in an artist's studio, then to a world regenerator.
The thoughtless, ignorant, and indolent, seeing only apparent effects, speak of luck, of fortune, and chance. They attribute wealth, intellect, or saintly character to luck or chance, failing to see the trials, failures, struggles, sacrifices, undaunted efforts, and faith these individuals exerted to gain experience and realize their visions. They see only the light and joy, calling it luck, or the pleasant goal, calling it good fortune,
without understanding the long and arduous journey or the process. In all human affairs, the strength of the effort is the measure of the result. Chance is not. Gifts, powers, and possessions are the fruits of effort. They are thoughts completed, objects accomplished, visions realized. The vision glorified in the mind, the ideal enthroned in the heart, is what one will build their life by and become. Serenity. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It results from long and patient effort in self-control, indicating ripened experience and a deep understanding of thought's laws. A man becomes calm by understanding himself as a thought-evolved being, which leads to understanding others as results of thought. As he develops this understanding and sees the internal relations of things by the action of cause and effect, he ceases to fuss, fume, worry, and grieve, remaining poised, steadfast, serene. The calm man, having learned to govern himself, knows how to adapt to others, who in turn reverence his spiritual strength and rely on him. The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, influence, and power for good. Even a trader finds business prosperity increases with greater self-control and equanimity, as people prefer dealing with someone whose demeanor is strongly equable. The strong, calm man is always loved and revered, like a shade-giving tree or a sheltering rock. A tranquil heart and balanced life are always sweet, serene, and calm, regardless of external changes. That exquisite poise of character which we call serenity is the last lesson of culture. It is the flowering of life, the fruitage of the soul. It is more precious than gold. Mere money-seeking seems insignificant compared to a serene life, which dwells in the ocean of truth, beneath the waves, beyond the reach of tempests, in the eternal calm. Many people ruin their lives and happiness by explosive tempers and lack of self-control, destroying their character's poise. Few people are truly well-balanced with this exquisite poise. Humanity is often tumultuous with uncontrolled passion, ungoverned grief, anxiety, and doubt. Only the wise man, whose thoughts are controlled and purified, makes the winds and the storms of the soul obey him. To tempest-tossed souls everywhere, Allen proclaims that in the ocean of life, the isles of blessedness are smiling, and the sunny shore of your ideal awaits your coming. Keep a firm hand on the helm of thought. The commanding master within the bark of your soul is merely sleeping. Awake him. Self-control is strength. Right thought is mastery. Calmness is power. The ultimate command, say unto your heart, peace, be still.